Well, guys, after 5 seasons, Awkward has seemingly ended, but is that really the ending? I don't know. The Awkward writers really need to make up their mind, but let's just get to the intro and then we can discuss this. Hey guys, can remember for the last 5 episodes of this season of Awkward, Season 5, episodes 20 to 24. Yes, I am still watching this show. I didn't stop watching it. I don't know, if I made it seem like I stopped watching it, I definitely did not stop watching it. I have been watching, actually, yeah, 5 episodes, 4 episodes, something like that. But yeah, I am still watching this show. I kept up with it. The reason I stopped reviewing is because I didn't see the point of reviewing anymore. The episodes were becoming more and more pointless. The episodes were becoming less and less impactful. There weren't much happening in the episodes. And episode 20 really is the one where I started to drop out. But let's talk about this overall, because really, I mean, I just gotta say, what the hell happened to this show? I mean, seriously, this season, I don't know what's been going on. It just seems like they don't know what they're doing. The writing hasn't been that great, really. A lot of this season has been a lot of missed opportunities, and it continues to not really impress me very much at all. And basically, we still don't even know if this show is renewed or not, and that really pisses me off. But we'll get into that. Let's get to these episodes, because a lot of these episodes are really pointless. Let's talk about Jenna first, because that's, of course, the main arc you guys want me to talk about, because, of course, we do have 3 arcs to talk about, as usual. But basically, we go to Jenna's arc, and literally episode 20 is only about her babysitting her sister. Literally, that is what we've come to, guys. Again, this is supposed to be the final season, and literally we have an episode about her babysitting her sister. Now, is Morgan an adorable baby? Oh yes, Morgan is an adorable baby. And do I like the idea of Jenna's parents trying to, make sure that she's responsible? Yes, but she's fucking 19. She's not even their problem anymore. That's my biggest problem here, is that they're treating her like she's a teenager, and they're treating her like she is their problem. And the fact that, they don't trust her, I think is bullshit, really. I mean, it's really dumb, the fact that they just don't trust her. It's really dumb. I understand, obviously, that, like, she's very work-oriented, but the girl's got a lot on her plate. I mean, seriously, the way that Lacey and Kevin were treating her, I mean, they were treating her like she was back in high school, and I thought it was really dumb the way this episode was going, because you could see that she is doing an okay job with Morgan, but then Maddie has to come over, and I will say, I did like the dynamic of seeing Maddie and Jenna as friends. I definitely really did enjoy that, and of course, in this episode, Luke is out of town. But basically, you're supposed to see how good Maddie is with kids and everything, and he basically ends up helping out Jenna, and it really does get these two to create a genuine friendship, which I do like. I've said before, Jenna and Maddie, I think are actually really great friends. Like, when you have these two as friends, they can be really good. I think Bo Murchoff and Ashley Richards, they just have really good chemistry no matter what they're doing, and that's something I think they did really well, is that they kept these two as friends, because I don't want to see them get back together. I think that we were past that. Definitely, I think the show understands that we're past that, and that's something I definitely really enjoyed. So, seemingly, basically, that's what jump starts their friendship. They now seem like they're back to being friends, and Jenna even thanks Maddie, so I thought that turned out pretty well. So, everything seems okay there. But then we get to Jenna and Luke, because things seem good between Jenna and Luke, but then things don't seem as well between Jenna and Luke, because these two, they're getting closer. They're trying to make more time for each other, and Jenna ends up blurting out in the episode Living in Sin that she wants to move in with Luke, and obviously it's a big shock. Luke never thought this would really come up and that this would really happen. But that's exactly what happened. She says straight out that she wants to move in with him, and she's even fantasizing about Maddie. And this is really what pissed me off. Jenna has expressed that she has no interest in Maddie. Why all of a sudden is she suddenly fantasizing about her and Maddie and the life that they could have had when she's very good with Luke? I mean, yes, I understand a lot of people think Luke's a dick and everything, but he really does care about Jenna, and he really is someone that she needs, and he's a great boyfriend to her. Maddie, she can't be with right now. I mean, he just is in a position where I don't really think that he can be together. He, of course, is with Sully, who actually does break up with him. Probably one of the funniest scenes of the season, where he literally breaks breaks up with her and she just says, all right, I don't care. And here's the thing. The reason why that scene is so funny is not just because of Sully's, response of, I don't care, laid back. It really just shows how unimportant of a character Sully really was. I mean, think about it. How much did Sully really end up contributing to this season? Absolutely nothing. She did a few things here and there, but most of her character was her laying back and chilling, trying to get all the characters drunk, trying to get all the characters to just hang out, and it just, as much as I like Sully, not at all a girlfriend for Maddie. I really don't know what the writers were thinking, honestly. I have no idea really what they were trying to think of here. But back to Jenna and Luke, we see they're really trying to get used to living together. They seem, really happy as they go through their weekend together and everything. And, basically things seem to be going really well. It seems like these two are actually going to move in together, and Jenna suggests that now that the relationship is serious, they should just tell everyone, that maybe they should finally just tell everyone an idea bin, but we know that Luke told her specifically not to do that, and Luke of course reminds her why this is going on. He doesn't want me seen as the girl who slept with the guy who recommended her for the job. That's really the main reason, which again I think makes sense, and that's something I did like here, is that Luke's point did make sense here of why he didn't want Jenna to, say anything. But of course, Jenna being stupid, again, very out of character move for Jenna, which most of the season Jenna has been very out of character. She suggests plans for the evening, but Luke tells her he's going to party with Lizzie. He assures her it's not a date, but Jenna still has the misgivings, which this without a doubt is the dumbest thing that they do here. It's not as dumb as, the dumbest thing is not what Jenna ends up doing, it's why she ends up doing it. Basically, for whatever reason, Jenna now has this thinking that Luke has feelings for Lizzie and that he's gonna cheat on her with Lizzie, and it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous the way that was done. I don't know why they thought this, but Jenna ends up literally publishing an article about her and Luke getting back, being together, and none of them knowing on, Idea Bin, and everyone's really upset, obviously. This could really cost Luke his job, and Jenna really fucked up. I mean, I don't really know why Jenna didn't just think this over and think, maybe this wasn't a good idea. I mean, really, if she would have just taken 2 seconds and really just thought this out, she would have known it wasn't a good idea. It's the same exact situation with what happened with Maddie. It doesn't feel that important because it's really not that interesting. It really didn't contribute to much of anything, mainly because of the fact that Jenna would have just used her mind, used her brain, and actually thought this through. She would have known this wasn't a good idea. So they kind of go on the rocks for a little bit. Things don't seem good between these two at all. But then they have this really dumb argument in episode 22. And look, I understand what Luke is saying here, why he's upset with Jenna. I think he has every right to be upset with her. But Jenna's points of him saying that, oh, he's going to leave her for Lizzie and how he wants to be with Lizzie was so dumb. I am so happy he told her to grow up, because she really was being a real bitch about it, honestly. Her bitching and complaining was ridiculous. I really hated it. But then we get to episode 22, which for me is the first, episode 21 for me was the first solid episode of this of the bunch since what the fuck happened last year. That I thought was really great until the ending. The ending I thought was really stupid, but then we get to episode 22, which I think is the first almost perfect episode of this season. There's not really any complaints I have with episode 22 except for the opening fight. Other than that, I think this is actually a pretty good episode. I really do enjoy it overall. Because basically the rest of this episode, Jenna returns to Kampuka for a reunion, basically because they're giving me a reunion for Kampuka. She's excited for a return home, but also Maddie is there. What I like about this is that it's not trying to push Maddie and Jenna together. It's more them reflecting on how they've been the last couple of years, and we get some really good scenes with Maddie talking about some things to Jenna about their past and things like that when they were together, who they were in Kampuka, and it really does show development. It's the thing that we've wanted this season, is that we want characters to talk about past things that have happened. We want to show they're reflecting on things, and it's a really nice scene. I like the way this was done. I like the way these two get closer, and Jen even suggests that they get drunk and get real, but they stay strictly friends. We can tell straight out that they don't really want to be in a relationship at all right now, because they're, Maggie just got out of one. He clearly still wants to be with Jenna, but Jenna's with Luke right now, and she seems okay with Luke, even though, we see basically what's going on. And Luke does apologize to Jenna. I understand why he apologized to her. He tells her that he's pulled strings to get her meeting with the dean of her dream school, and he's pulled her strings to get her meeting of SCU. That's where she wants to go, as SCU. He's gotten her, basically a place to go in SCU, and which I think is really great that Luke did that he got her this interview there. And Jenna does end up going to SCU, but you get a lot of really interesting stuff with them in the finale, but that's basically everything that happens with Jenna until the finale, which we'll get into the finale in a few minutes. But that's pretty much everything to talk about there. Probably the most conclusive arc, because the rest of this really is dumb. I mean, all the rest of the arcs this season are really dumb, and I'm really not a fan of them. Let's talk about Tamara's arc. Where the hell did this come from? I honestly have no idea where this came from. Look, they had a good idea here. They really did. With Tamara being in debt and her being, not having all this money, things like that, her being out of money. It's a really interesting scenario, and college kids do get stuck in this scenario sometimes, that they either spend too much money, or they go crazy, or things like that, or they put on some weight because of food. I mean, that's something that college kids do go through. Of course, I wouldn't know personally because I'm not in college yet. I'm, only a junior, almost senior in high school, but I think that the way they handled this, it's a good idea, but they never took this as seriously, I think, as they should, because Tamara's dating this guy, Patrick, as we know, and she's lying to him about being rich. She ends up going to this clam bake with Sadie, and that is really when things not start to get really bad between Tamara and Sadie. They even give you this idea that Tamara and Sadie should have never been friends, which honestly, I have no idea why these two have ever been best friends. I mean, I like the idea of, them changing, how they feel about each other because of, time and things like that. But Sadie hasn't changed at all. Tamara hasn't changed, and Sadie hasn't changed. And to me, it's never really felt as warranted as it should, because Sadie, throughout most of episode 21, really just being a bitch to Tamara, not wanting to help her in any way, basically making Tamara solve her own problems. And it looks like from episode 21 that Tamara is going to go in the direction of becoming a prostitute. That's basically what they make you think, is that she's going to become a prostitute, and it's all because Sadie won't just help her friend, and she's so selfish because of that, which is really dumb that they did that. But then she doesn't end up doing that. She instead ends up actually, I think it's a wedding service, basically, is what she ends up doing, and she runs into Adam, which it feels weird that she does run into Adam, but I actually really did like this scene. Again, episode 22, I thought there was some really good stuff there, and basically Adam tells her straight out that if Patrick does not like, she needs to tell Patrick the truth, and if he does not like her. Also, we see that Adam still wants to be friends with Tamara. He now has another girl that he's engaged to, and we find out why they kind of broke things off, that, she just couldn't get married, and I like that we did get some, resolution there as to why she didn't want to get married. I thought that was really good, but basically he says straight out that, look, if Patrick doesn't, like her, that because she's not rich, then he's not worth it, and I think it's true that he said that. I like that we saw that there. I thought there was some really good stuff with that, so that's pretty much what happened to Tamara. I just never really took this arc nearly as seriously as I should. I really wasn't ever that into it. And then this bullshit with Jake and Lissa, this definitely did get better. I definitely will say that. My main problem with this arc, again, is that it never felt like it was necessary, honestly. I mean, what is this arc? Jake sleeps with Ophelia. That doesn't really do much of anything. He confesses to Lissa, basically. Lissa eventually finds out she doesn't want to be a Palos Hills mom. I don't really remember why. I believe it's because Lissa's mom was going to get remarried to this guy who Lissa was definitely not fond of, and she decides she doesn't want to be Palos Hills' mom. So from there, she starts doing these a toner size videos, which are like these exercise videos, but it gives you like a toner, and basically through doing this, they become a huge success on YouTube. They're getting blown up and things like that, and it seems like this direction for her character, that she's going to go into business, which I think is kind of a funny idea, that Lissa would go into business, but it doesn't go past just a funny idea. There's a difference between a funny idea and then actually taking this seriously, which the episode kind of wants us to. I think it's a cool idea, though. I do like seeing Lissa possibly go into business. I think it's kind of fun to see, and I like seeing her and Jake still as friends, but I still don't really understand why they had to break up. I mean, it really just seemed like these two could have stayed together. I don't really know why they had to break up. I mean, I understand, obviously, that Jake had a really demanding job and that he wanted to stay at this country club, but really, it just seems stupid that they broke up. I really think they could just come back together. Jake never had to sleep with Ophelia. It didn't go to anything, really. By the way, Ideabin became less and less important as these episodes went on. Remember how important Ideabin was to Jenna? Yeah, as these episodes go on, we barely see Ideabin. I mean, we didn't even see Ethan, I think after, episode 21, that was the last time we saw Ethan. Ophelia we've like a brief conversation with, but these characters really didn't contribute to much of anything, probably because they just weren't that interesting. They didn't really do much of anything with these characters. They didn't really impact the story that much. But that's everything that happens pretty much from episodes 20 to 22. But now let's get into the finale, because there was some really good stuff in the finale. I gotta say, I thought the finale as a whole was actually pretty satisfying. There's a lot of problems with the actual finale, and if this is a series finale, it is not a good finale. It is not a good series finale at all, and I'll talk about why. But basically, we start off right away with Jenna. She does end up getting, she's not sure she's going to get the interview to SCU. She's really conflicted with that. She doesn't really know how that whole situation is going to turn out. But I do like her and Luke fighting in this episode, because I think they both have very strong points here. You can totally understand. I mean, Luke throughout this entire episode, both episodes 23 and 24, these two both are fighting, because Luke really wants her to focus on her career and moving forward, while Jenna really wants to focus on her friends. She's hearing about, Kampuka, and she wants to go back to Kampuka to celebrate with her friends before, I believe, it's closing down, is the reason why I think she's going. But basically, I do think it's a very interesting argument for these two to have. They both have very different directions for her future. She knows what she wants. He kind of wants to control it. I wouldn't really see as him controlling it, as more of him trying to get her to focus on what he feels important, which is working and, trying to get a job and things like that, which I understand, but he doesn't really let Jenna have any fun. And I think it does show why Jenna and Luke can't exactly be together, which is sad, because I do really like these two together, but I understand why things are kind of complicated right now. I don't really think they need to break up over this, but it is a problem. Obviously, the fact that he's basically putting her career over everything else, he's not really letting her do anything, and he does eventually compromise. He lets her go to Kampuka, and she does in fact go to Kampuka, and we actually get some really nice scenes here with Jenna and everyone. They end up meeting up with Val again, which I love seeing Val. We'll talk about why we see Val a little bit later. But basically, Jenna, she actually does end up reconnecting with Maddie and everything. We get a really great scene between Maddie and Jenna. Probably the best scene out of these two episodes was this final scene between Maddie and Jenna, because it really shows what I've wanted the show to show, is how much these two have changed. Because really, it didn't seem like they've changed at all. And you really do see that Maddie has changed here, because he wants to tell Jenna to break up with Luke and not be with him and things like that. Luke even shows up to Kampuka, really shows how good of a boyfriend Luke really is, that he does, in fact, understand why Jenna wants to do this, and even though as complicated as things are, he does really care about her, and he doesn't want to have to make decisions for her, and he wants to be able to make her own decisions. But Maddie at this last moment basically says, look, I want to tell you to break up with Luke. I'm not going to. You should be allowed to make your own choice. If you don't want to be with me, I understand that. He tells her he loves her, but he understands that they can't really be together, because she needs to focus on her life, and as much as he wants to go to college with her, he understands that, that wasn't really what she wanted, and it really is him finally apologizing for what happened in that episode. Basically, they did kind of apologize to each other, but they haven't really had that moment where they say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and actually move past this. And it's a really nice scene. It feels like they're really moving on. It really feels like the Jenna and Maddie portion of the show is kind of over. I mean, they still are kind of together, but they're not really together. They're kind of just friends now. I think they've moved on. I think they both realize what they want, and that while they want to be together, they both have very different ideas. They both don't really know what they're doing. And, we know that Jenna's going to SCU. She does end up getting accepted to SCU. I thought there were some really great scenes there. I really enjoyed seeing that scene between Jenna and Maddie, because that's where it all started, of course, was in that closet. It made sense that happened. Now, a lot of people are thinking they had sex in that closet. They did not have sex in that closet. Jenna and Luke did not break things off, so they would not have that sex in that closet if Jenna and Luke didn't break things off. Now, the writers imply that they did, but I don't think they really broke things off. I mean, we didn't hear him say we're breaking up or anything. We didn't hear them say we're done, things like that. I think it's more of they just kind of need to figure things out right now, because they both want very different things for each other, and that really is the situation that they're going through. So I think that's really what it is, that they have very different ideas for each other, and they really need to come to some sort of common ground between that. So I'll see what happens with that. Now let's get to Tamara. Tamara does end up confessing to Patrick that she isn't rich, and he's actually okay with it. He totally understands why she's not rich, and basically things like that. And he tells her that, he can help with her finances, but she doesn't want to have him do that and things like that. While Sadie continues to be a complete bitch to everyone. I mean, there's a scene where she's in her food truck and she's yelling at Maddie and things like that. She's being mean to Sergio. And I like that Maddie finally told her that she's a bitch and that she hasn't changed at all, because really, Sadie was being very unnecessarily bitchy here. I mean, more than usual, and there really was no reason for her to be upset. There was nothing really that Tamara did to her that made her this upset. I don't understand why she's so upset about this. I just don't really get it. And it really gets Sadie to finally go through her breaking point, because she ends up driving the food truck and she literally starts texting, Maddie, Jake, Tamara, Lissa, everyone, saying, I'm done. I don't want to be your friends anymore. This is over. And she gets hit by a car. Literally, she runs into a car. So she gets into a car accident, which I thought was really interesting. And this seemingly changes Sadie, but not really. To me, this just felt kind of divisive that she get hit by the car, really. But I do think it's a good idea, that scene we have with the cow, where she is finally confessing that she is sorry and that she does see them as real friends. But we've had so many scenes like this, and it seems like Sadie's going to change, that I don't really know if that change is really warranted. Is Sadie really going to change? Is this really going to happen? I don't really know. I mean, Sadie always seems like every season, oh yeah, she's going to change. She's going to change. She's going to turn herself around. And that's something I feel they haven't really done well this half of the season at all. Is, yeah, Sadie's Sadie, but she hasn't really grown up. And that's something I was hoping she'd do, but she still hasn't. Definitely. I love seeing Val as her grief counselor, because Val is back in this episode. It is awesome to see Val again. But the thing is, we don't really know much more about Val, except that she's now working there. What happened between her and Biggie Will? We know those two got married. We don't know what happened. Did they have a child? I mean, there's no talk whatsoever. And that's my main thing of this episode, is that despite all these arcs that we got, and then as far as Lissa goes, like I said, Lissa seems like she's going to become this big, she's going to become an entrepreneur. She's going to make toner size a big deal. And Jake apparently is going to New York with Sadie and Tamara. And other than that, we have no idea what's going on with these other characters. Where's Jake going? Where is Maddie going? We have no idea. We have no idea where they're going, and that's why this episode, in my opinion, really isn't a series finale. I think definitely they tried to keep it open, which I don't understand why they tried to do. Your show is struggling. Why would you keep it open? I don't know. If you want to make it worse, by all means, do that. But your show really has been struggling, and here's my main thing with this season. It's not that it's been bad. It's not been bad. It's the fact that they have tried, and they have tried to have some really good ideas in here, but it felt like an extended monologue, and it's never moved past that extended monologue. And yes, I do think these last 3 episodes were a lot better than every other episode this second half of the season, but the thing is, where was this? Like, they could have done so much more with this. The fact that these characters didn't really change, and the fact they really didn't do anything new with these characters. Like I said, Jenna and Tamara's friendship, for example, I never really felt like these two were as close, and I feel like that was the point, but we had that entire episode where it seemed like these two are going to be best friends again, and then they never feel as close again, because they don't really focus on their friendship as a whole after this. And again, it just doesn't really feel as important as it should. It feels like Tamara's more with Sadie, and Sadie, again, I don't really know if she's going to change what's going to happen there. And the most annoying thing is that we don't know if this is really the final season of the show. We don't know if it's coming back for season 6. I'm hoping it's not. I really am hoping it's not. Now, you guys know I used to love this show. I still do really enjoy this show. The problem is, I just feel they've gone past the point now where they can't really do anything else in the show anymore. I mean, there's only so far you can go with this plot. For me, Awkward was always about the awkward times in high school and how awkward high school can be. But now that high school is over, I've never really seen what the point of the return of the show is. I mean, I remember I was all on board for it, but they never really did much else with this past what we heard about in the flashbacks, and it just didn't really do much for the show. It made a lot of the characters highly unlikable. Throughout most of the season, I kind of despise Jenna, I'm gonna say. I think she made some really stupid decisions that I don't really understand at all, and everyone's saying, oh, she's so much more mature. She's really not. I mean, accusing your boyfriend of having sex with the boss of your, having sex with the boss, I think is bullshit. I don't know where Jenna thought that was actually what was going on. It's really stupid, and Besides that, though, this season it just hasn't really done what I've wanted to do. It hasn't really had a conclusive arc. Nothing has felt complete. Nothing has felt like it really needs to be there. And that's why, to me, I never really latched onto this show. I never latched back onto these characters. Even the episodes that were good, they still felt like an extended monologue. And the show never really moved past that. But overall, guys, what did you think of the second half of the season? I was never a huge fan of it. I always figured, I think the show needs to end. The amount of times I said end show, end. The amount of times you said this show needs to end, the show needs to end. I mean, it's ridiculous because really, I think they could just done what they should have done is a quick 2 second, like a quick 2 minutes epilogue at the end of the mid-season finale, and then just end the show. I think it would have been a perfect ending. Fuck that cliffhanger for saying, but of course that's not what happened. We have a quick thing of what this episode was, and then end the show like that. That would have been completely fine because that episode actually gave a direction for all the characters. Think about it. We knew in that episode that Jake was taking a gap year. We knew that Sadie was going to this school. We knew that Tamara was going to New York. We knew pretty much everything there. Everyone was going. We knew Maddie was going to Berkeley. We knew Jenna was going to Wyckoff, and we knew where everyone was going. And now we don't know where everyone's going. What's happening with Lacey? I don't know. Lacey has become increasingly less important. I mean, the only thing we know with Lacey is that she's with Maddie. That she's in German with Maddie, and that they're taking German together, basically, and that these two become a lot closer, and they're friends and everything, which I do kind of like that friendship, I will say. I do think it was kind of one of the more high points of the season, but they just, again, didn't really do much with them, and it didn't really contribute much to anything. But overall, guys, what did you think of this season? Love to your thoughts in it. For me, this just wasn't much of a season. I feel the first half, that is a lot more of what this season should have been. Their senior year, them saying goodbye, that was a very good way to send off the show. And this half, it hasn't even felt like a season. It's felt like an epilogue. And your show should never feel like an epilogue. It should always feel like there is a purpose for continuing this show. What's the purpose? I don't see it. I don't see what the purpose is in following the show. I don't see what the purpose is in following these characters anymore. And because of that, I just can't really latch into the show anymore. And it sucks because I used to love this show. You guys remember this used to be one of my favorite shows on TV. And now it's one of my least favorite shows on TV because I feel it's just going on way too long. This and the Vampire Diaries, I feel they're going on way too long. Next season needs to be the last one. I'm sorry if they are not going to end this show this season. They need to end it next season because I can't do this anymore. I can't really do this show anymore. I don't even know if I'm going to watch next season. We'll have to see. But overall, guys, what did you think of this season? I'd love to hear your thoughts on overall, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for the season finale of The Path, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.